Welcome to CEO Insights. I'm Marilyn de Guzman with Investing News Network. I'm speaking with Marshall Koval, President and CEO of Lumina Gold, and is providing an update on the progress of the company's Cangrejos project in Ecuador. Hello, Marshall.
Hey, Marilyn, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Everything's fine. A lot to talk about today.
Yeah, so let's get on it. So I guess before we get on the meat of our discussion, if you could provide an introduction of Lumina Gold and the progress on your Cangrejos project.
Yeah, so Lumina Gold, we have a single asset in Ecuador, the Cangrejos project. And if we look back, the Lumina Group was founded by Ross Beatty sort of in 2003. I've been with Ross through all the group companies since then. I joined in 2004, actually. And we've been in Ecuador since 2014 advancing the Cangrejos project. It's the 26th largest primary gold deposit in the world in all categories: production, resource, development. And we just put out a pre-feasibility study that showed a $2.2 billion NPV at a 5% discount rate using $1,650 gold and $375 copper. So we're moving forward with the next steps of the project, advancing it towards a feasibility study. And that's kind of where we sit today.
Right, that's very exciting. But I understand you've made a recent announcement about a new deal with Wheaton Precious Metals. Could you give us the highlights of that deal and what it means for Cangrejos?
Yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic deal, both for Wheaton, for the Lumina Group, Lumina Gold, and for the country of Ecuador. And it really gives us third-party verification that the project is on the path towards development. Basically, what the deal is $300 million that Wheaton Precious Metals is putting forth in a streaming deal. And there's $48 million of that will help take us through the feasibility study stage and permitting stage. And then there's $252 million of that is available for construction of the project once a construction decision is made. And basically what we're doing is we're streaming 6.6% of the gold production with Wheaton. And it's a real favorable cost of capital. So I think it just validates the scale of the project, the importance of this project, both in the broader mining sector. Very few projects have the scale of this Cangrejos project, which will produce about 371,000 ounces of gold a year over a 26-year mine life. And basically, this deal really helps us get us on the path towards construction.
You've alluded to a pre-feasibility study that you've also just recently released, and you've mentioned some of the highlights. Could you delve a little bit deeper into some of the important highlights from that study?
Yeah, so we've really approached this study from both a technical perspective, but also a social and environmental perspective as well. So it's a quite large project. We've scaled it initially at 30,000 ton per day throughput. And then in year 4, it'll go to 60,000. And then year 7, it'll go to 80,000. And we've also incorporated a lot of design into the project that'll be helpful from an environmental and social perspective, like dry stack tailings facility where we will recycle about 85% of the water back to the plant. We also are in an area that's a lot of hydroelectric. So a majority of the power for the project will be hydroelectric. So there's a lot of aspects built into the project design, both technically, economically, and socially. So we're really excited to move the project forward.
Yeah, and that's really an interesting progression because, as you know, with the market that's currently happening, the prices of gold has been increasing, and yet supply has not really kept up with demand. No new mines are being built. So this is you're in a really great time to be in this spot, right?
Yeah, the major and mid-tier companies are consolidating right now, and one of the big issues facing the industry, the broader gold industry, is reserve replacement. So when you have an asset like Cangrejos that is over a 26-year mine life and has the potential to survive several cycles in the sector, it becomes an attractive company or project for the major mining companies in the mid-tier. So we'll continue to advance the project and we'll see where things go.
So how is Ecuador? So the project is in Ecuador. Can you give us a little bit of an overview of how the operating climate in Ecuador and what this project sort of would mean for that country in terms of its mining industry?
Yeah, so the mining industry has really opened up since 2014 when we entered the country. The fiscal regime and the regulatory regime has improved. And Ecuador's been competitive with its neighbors in Peru and Chile and Colombia. And basically what the project means to the country was it's on the scale of the two major projects that have been built. The Mirador project is a copper project, and then the Fruta del Norte Lumina Gold's mine had gone into production. So that's really set the stage for Ecuador becoming more recognized as a mining jurisdiction, and that you can build projects around $1 billion initial capital, which Cangrejos is, in the country. You can permit them, you can finance them internationally. And I think the Wheaton deal also with Cangrejos shows that there is international interest in advancing and putting mines into production in the country. So overall, the infrastructure in the country is good. We're in the western part of the country, southwest, where there's really good infrastructure. We're close to a port facility. So the project has a lot of advantages in that regards. And we're in a very good social and environmental setting as well.
Yeah, could you talk a bit more about that? Like, so as your project is progressing towards production, what are some of the environmental and sustainability aspects of the project that you're enforcing or implementing?
Right. So there's ample water in the region, but obviously water needs to be protected, and you need to build as much water preservation and minimal impacts to the environment with water in the project design. And as I mentioned earlier, the dry stack tailings is a big component of that. The other thing too is the Mirador mine. It's a large copper porphyry deposit that is being mined across on the eastern side of the country. They're hauling their concentrates all the way across the country, some 300 kilometers to Puerto Bolivar, which we are only 40 kilometers away, and we'll produce a concentrate as well. So if you look at the impacts in an ESG perspective, we don't have as far to haul. We're recycling water, with our tailings facility. We're generating a lot of the power that's being used in the project. A majority of it's generated in hydropower. So there's a lot of those aspects. The other thing too is we're doing a lot of work with revegetation. Most of the area of the project has been, second generation, third generation growth of timber and then grazing. So we're doing a lot of tree planting and habitat restoration and that sort of work in areas disturbed, not by our project or previous exploration work, but general use in the communities and the landowners in the area. So those sort of things, paying attention to biodiversity and that sort of thing is a real key cornerstone. And then obviously working with the local communities, making them understand kind of what we're doing with the project, employment programs in education, health, and that sort of stuff that we can help the local communities with is a big focus of the company.
Right. So where do you go from here? What's the next steps and plans for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so basically what we're doing right now is we just announced a few weeks back the PFS. We're working with all of our consultants, looking at the recommendations to move the project to a feasibility study. And we're doing that in combination with Wheaton as well, talking about the approach there. So what we're doing is doing the planning for the next phase of work, and that'll initially be field work, some more drilling to take the resource in the first 3 years of the project up to a measured category, and we can report a proven reserve in the feasibility study. We're doing all the other infrastructure, technical field work, and planning. So that's kind of the course that we're on, and over the next 18 months, we'll be really in depth into the feasibility study and working on the engineering as well.
So it sounds like exciting times ahead, and looking forward to having you back here to give us some progress on the project.
All right. Thanks for your listeners' time, and thanks for yours, Raylan.
And thank you for watching, everyone. Join us again next time for another engaging conversation on CEO Insights.